It'd be awful for it to end this way for him this season. But the reporting is not promising. Lakers are on a 3-game winning streak. They just completed a 27-point comeback against the Dallas Mavericks in a nationally televised game over the weekend.
That was unbelievable. Jared Vanderbilt in that game, Chris. You see his defense on Luka. Just
unbelievable.
Magnificent.
And I saw you tweet out that you were surprised that Vanderbilt did not garner more interest on the market. I, as well, am very surprised. Whether or not you think that Jared Vanderbilt is a starting quality power forward or big for a great playoff team, to me, that is non-material. He is absolutely an 8 or 9 man rotation guy on an outstanding playoff team. I believe that wholeheartedly. And you need guys like Jared Vanderbilt, because what they do is they end up transcending what their stats are, because a guy like that is playing so hard, working so hard, it raises the collective of the rest of the team. I love Vanderbilt. He's a dog, and
both Minnesota and Utah, he was great.
Yeah.
No, now in LA, he looks like it too.
Yeah, and I mean, they got him. You know, I would have thought there would have been a bigger market too. Anyway, there's this moment in the game where LeBron goes down, and he says, "I heard it pop." And then he plays out the rest of the game. And now today, there are reports that it is a serious foot injury. And I had gotten word earlier in the day that he had been ruled out for the Memphis game, which is tomorrow night, of which I will be in attendance, and something that everybody has really looked forward to since the whole Shannon Sharp fiasco that took place the last time that they played against each other. It is a game that was moved to TNT. There was, I believe, a Hawks game that was moved off of TNT for the early slate tomorrow. And so it was going to be an earlier start than usual. It's a 6:30 Central start for the Grizzlies and the Lakers. So it was going to be nationally televised. And the Lakers had won 3 in a row. They need every game like blood the rest of the way. Everybody's been looking forward to this one. And so it sucked to see that news today that LeBron was going to be unavailable. And that's one thing, and something that would just affect the game I'm going to tomorrow night and game that people are going to watch tomorrow. But it was much more devastating to see the report that they're talking indefinite or weeks for this, and that they're going to have to get a bunch of different opinions on this. This sounds very, very ominous for his future this season, just on the first reports, Kev.
Yeah, I mean, right now for the Lakers, they're in the 12th slot, 3 games back from the 5. So there's only, the Clippers are the 5 seed. There's only 3 games separating them and the 12-seeded Lakers. They're in a position now, 4-1 since they made their deals at the deadline, where it felt like they're trending up. They're figuring it out. The team is playing with a completely different energy. They got a defensive stopper in Vanderbilt with versatility, and this is without D'Lo. D'Lo's been out, and he could also be out. I believe he's also doubtful for that game against the Grizzlies.
Yep.
And without LeBron James now, I wouldn't go as far as saying that they're going to be out of it, Chris, considering how close it is. The Pelicans are trending way down. The Jazz, they're hovering at 500. The Warriors still don't have Stephen Curry. I wouldn't say that the Lakers are out of it with LeBron James. If he's able to return in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they're they can still win some games, but they need D'Angelo Russell back. That's the important thing now for the Lakers, is they need a source of shot creation other than, with all due respect, Dennis Schroeder, Austin Reeves, Troy Brown, some of these other guys who occasionally can handle the ball. They need D'Lo back. And they need to get him integrated and have him playing like he did prior to the trade with Minnesota, when he was great for 6-7 weeks leading up to the deadline. They got to get that D'Lo, Anthony Davis pick and roll connection working at a high level to have any chance now without LeBron James. That's my first thought here. Above all else, without LeBron, is how do the Lakers get into the playoffs? But also, it just sucks. Like, this just stinks. You know, it felt like a team that was starting to come together, and they can't catch a break.
Yeah, and I know that I've seen a lot of posts about the record that the Lakers have had without LeBron James in his time there, and it's terrible. But I do think I agree with you in the sense that I wouldn't write them off completely. And if you get
No.
that Anthony Davis,
The second half against Dallas the other night,
yeah,
just dominant force.
I mean, that's you've got a chance every single game you play to have the best player on the floor. And I do think that they are much better equipped now to withstand an injury to LeBron and still be able to play, because you might just need to play 500 basketball, a little bit better than 500 basketball in order to make your way into the thing, because of Beasley, because of Vanderbilt, because of Russell. Because if you get that awesome Anthony Davis, you've got enough guys around it. But it's a lot on Davis. Davis has to be the best player on the floor on a regular basis, and he has the ability to. So it's a lot of pressure on him. But I do think that the players around him are good enough to still win basketball games now, whereas prior to, I do not think that they had a good enough roster to win without LeBron.
Totally.
And
Minnesota,
tear off a ton of wins, but they can,
Well, Minnesota also, they've lost 3 in a row.
Right.
Prior to that, they were hovering around 500. Conley's a better fit on paper than D'Lo, but it's not like the team is, rattling off a bunch of wins now. I think you hit it right on, Chris. If the Lakers can straddle around 500, they're 29-32 right now. If they can be, with 10 games left in the season or 5 games left in the season, be 500, and it's still, I bet it's still going to be really close.
Mm-hmm.
With that 7 or maybe 8 to 11 range, whatever it ends up, breaking down as. If the Lakers are in it at the end, if LeBron's able to come back later in the season, they could slip in as the 8 or the 9, and maybe you do have to win 2 play-in games to get in, but maybe that's going to have to be, maybe that's just the way it has to be. And for LeBron and the Lakers, if that's the path that has to go, maybe this time off could be beneficial. The alternative, the other thing is, though, is we're hearing out indefinitely.
Yeah, you can't like the way it's reported.
We still don't know all the details here. It is very possible that he'll just be out for the entire rest of the regular season.
And if he did feel it pop, and they're saying indefinite, when there's not even a timeline associated with it, that's when it's scary. We talked about the Curry thing a little while back, and it was like, geez, well, it's kind of like a wait and see. We'll see how he heals. Not your typical 3 to 5 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. And then you've kind of got a gauge of how long a guy could be out. There's no timeline associated with this. You never like indefinite. And I know they're going to get different opinions on this. It'd be awful for it to end this way for him this season. But the reporting is not promising. Promising.
Not at all. I think for the Lakers here, we talked about this after the deadline, Chris, but even if this is the way the year ends for them and they end up missing the postseason and it's a big time disappointment, those deals did set them up for a more successful summer, considering the amount of expiring deals or non-guaranteed deals that they have. They retained 2 first-round draft picks with everything that they did, and that they're now in a position to get super creative over the summer. And I think for the Lakers, that was what made that deadline so important and special for them. It was such a win. You position yourself for better success, 4-1 since that all happened on deadline day. And LeBron's hurt. That it all, this year hinged on the health of AD and LeBron. That was obvious. It goes without saying. But I still think all the decisions that they made are for the better for, not just this year, but for the years to come for the Lakers.